What is it about the year 2030? It seems to be the target date set for global transformation by a number of notable groups. While we can only speculate how that year would be if we get there, one thing is for sure: if we do get there, the world will be significantly different. Globalists, world leaders, and interest groups all seem to have their eyes set on the year 2030. Why not 2029 or 2031 or 2023? Is it because it's the turn of the decade? Are there any precise calculations, planning, and execution that would cause the choosing of this year? If so, what are these calculations, and why have so many groups taken interest in this year? Are these groups linked? And if so, what is their end game? The answers to these questions may never be honestly answered until the implementation of plans come to fruition, but by then, too late shall be the cry. Some of these groups and their agendas include, probably the most notable, the World Economic Forum, the WEF. Their goal, the Great Reset. According to Wikipedia, the Great Reset Initiative is an economic recovery plan drawn up by the World Economic Forum in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. The project was launched in June 2020 with a video featuring the Prince of Wales Charles released to mark its launch.
With trillions at his disposal,
the initiative's stated aim is to facilitate rebuilding from the global COVID-19 crisis in a way that prioritizes sustainable development. This description sounds like the Great Reset was formulated in response to the pandemic, but in all reality, it was on the table before the global crisis. The pandemic just happened to be a quite convenient opportunity to implement the reset. The Great Reset seems to be about way more than economic transformation. Then there is the UN that is touting their Agenda 2030. The United Nations say of their 2030 agenda on their website, this agenda is a plan of action for people, planet, and prosperity. It also seeks to strengthen universal peace in larger freedom. We recognize that eradicating poverty and all its forms and dimensions, including extreme poverty, is the greatest global challenge and an indispensable requirement for sustainable development. All countries and all stakeholders acting in collaborative partnership will implement this plan. We are resolved to free the human race from tyranny of poverty and want to heal and secure our planet. We are determined to take the bold and transformative steps which are urgently needed to shift the world into a sustainable and resilient path. Then there's the CCCam. You know, climate, add the word change, don't want to put them together for the sake of this video. The Washington Post reported that the world is likely to pass a dangerous temperature threshold within the next 10 years, pushing the planet past the point of catastrophic warming unless nations drastically transform their economies and immediately transition away from fossil fuels, according to one of the most definitive reports ever published about climate. They claim that the change of the climate of the world will be irreversible by the year 2030. Then there's the Saudi Arabian Vision 2030. Saudi's Vision 2030 is a government program launched by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia that aims to achieve the goal of increased diversification economically, socially, and culturally in line with the vision of Saudi Crown Prince and Prime Minister Mohammed bin Salman. The goals and plans set forth by this group is quite astounding. I did a video on this before. We'll leave a link somewhere, probably at the end of this video, if you remember. Egypt also has a Vision 2030. Egypt Vision 2030 is an ambitious national agenda launched in February 2016 by the Egyptian government and unveiled by the Egyptian President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The vision consists of 8 main national goals to be met by 2030 that are in line with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, and Sustainable Development Strategy for Africa 2063. The World Bank called for universal healthcare by 2030. At the first ever UN high-level meeting on universal healthcare in September 2019, member states reaffirmed their commitment to achieving universal healthcare by 2030 and asserted the right of people to enjoy the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health as an integral part of the SDGs. The World Health Organization and UNICEF has demanded that there be global access to basic sanitation by the year 2030. The World Health Organization and UNICEF warns that billions of people will lack access to safe water, sanitation, and hygiene in 2030 unless progress quadruples. So the year 2030 seems to be very important in the existence of humanity. Either way, the world will be radically transformed. One cannot help, however, but recognize that most of the 2030 initiatives set forth by these various groups all seem to be geared at mitigating catastrophic world events. Does the Bible talk about prophetic and catastrophic world events in the climate and economically? Indeed, it does. If we want to talk about catastrophic, then there's nothing more catastrophic than the impending 7-year period called the Tribulation Period or the Great Tribulation. Will the year 2030 or even before be the time that the Tribulation Period begins? If this is so, then the church must make herself ready to see her bridegroom in the near future. We are not far away from these things. I personally believe that we are living in what the Lord calls the beginning of sorrows. Matthew 24:4-8. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ, and shall deceive many. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines, and pestilences, and earthquakes in divers places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, or what some call the birthing pains. You can choose not to heed the warning signs, or you can choose to pay attention to the signs of the times. Or you can choose to eliminate your carbon footprint and toss plastic bottles into the right trash can. It used to be that the church seemed to be obsessed with the end of the world and the destruction of the world. Now it seems as if everyone but the church is interested in this. The signs of the times are all around us. Prepare yourselves for the coming of the Lord. If you do not know him, get to know him today. Now think about that. I'm wading through this water, Lord, for better or for worse. In all my ways, I'm putting Jesus first. With love in every line, in every song, in every verse.